Right viewers, get one last look at Fox Hill Junction, because you're not going to be seeing this layout again. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Class 47 Peter YouTube channel. And in today's video this is going to be the teardown for Fox Hill Junction. It's hard to believe almost that I've now had this layout for just over 10 years. I mean, this layout was first built in 2012. It's now 2023, so where has the time gone? Now, the reason why this layout is going to be rebuilt is because it's for several reasons. One, there are some places where you may or may not have noticed in my running session videos where some of the track in some areas isn't exactly flat and even as it really needs to be and as I would like it to be. There's also some baseboards that aren't even and flat either. There's also other niggly bits as well. There's areas where baseboards haven't been screwed down properly onto the frames. Other things as well, such as exposed screws that are still visible in some areas even when scenery's gone down. Brackets being used to hold bits of wood together on top, which are still exposed regardless, no matter what detail goes on there. Which, those are things especially that I don't like. Also, there has been a few operational and reliability problems as well with the layout to get things running right, especially with the 009. It really has been a learning curve, to say the least. But also, I just look at this layout as it is now, and while there are some bits that I am pleased about that I've done, I just think to myself that I can do a lot better than this. I know I can, especially with the modelling skills, etc., that I've picked up and learned as I've gone along. Everyone's skills does improve, and I just know that I can do a lot better than this. I know I can, and I've already got the ideas for the new layout, which it will be a new layout, in my head up here, so I know exactly what I'm going to be doing. But that's not to be discussing in this video, that's to be discussed in a future one. So it will be emotional to tear this layout down and see it gone, but on the other hand it is for the better. As the same, moving on to bigger and better things, moving up. And when we can start building the new layout, which hopefully won't be too long, and when I can get to the point where I can consider the new layout to be finished, which will look nothing like this, and also especially I'm aiming to go for something a lot more realistic looking as well, I think it's going to look quite something. It's going to certainly look quite amazing with the ideas I've got in mind. And like I say, I just know that I can do a lot better than this. There are some areas especially that I look at, particularly over here where the tunnel got rebuilt, compared to a lot of other areas on the layout, this area at the back being a prime example. They just look dated and don't quite look anywhere near as good. But like I say, I've already got the ideas for the new layout in my head. I know exactly what I'm going to do, and I just know with all the skills that I've got and skills that I can learn from elsewhere, etc., I just know that this can be done. So with all that said, let's get this layout torn down. Right, so what I've been doing is I've been gathering all my stock that lives on the layout, and I've been putting it to one side. So some of it's gone into storage containers, whilst other bits and pieces have gone back in the boxes. Mainly my 009 locos and the Batman 158 and Real Track 156. So these have just been put back in the boxes to get them out of the way. Right, so I'm making a start on removing the road vehicles from off the layout. Now, one of the things I personally don't like about this layout is the fact that the road follows most of the railway round the layout. It just looks contrite, to be honest. There will be a road on the next layout, but it's not going to be much of a road, basically. It's not going to be something that follows most of the layout, because I just don't really like that. Now, because there isn't going to be much of a road, it might mean that not all of these vehicles appear on the next layout. With the ideas I got in mind, I might be able to use most of them, but not all of them, I don't think. But that doesn't mean I'm necessarily going to be giving anything away or moving anything on at this point. And because I haven't kept the boxes for any of my road vehicles because of space, what I am doing instead is I'm just wrapping them up in bubble wrap. And then these will just get put to one side, ready to be used on the next layout when the time comes. I'll just get some sellotape and just basically tape up the bubble wrap. So I'll trawl through this lot. Right, so what I'm doing now is I'm removing the buildings from off the high street. To be honest, I don't think any of these are really glued down in place, which makes things a lot easier when it comes to removing them. Not all of these buildings will be reused. For a start, I'm not planning to reuse these terrace houses. Also, this, which is a cinema, that's a card kit, I won't be reusing this either. Oh, there's a vehicle there, I've got no idea how that got there. So, this will be going into the bin, because with the next layout I'm not planning to have any card kits on it. I want to have less of them as possible. But for the rest of these buildings, all the ready-made ones I have, I will be reusing. And then these are going to be, because I haven't kept the boxes for these either, again because of space, I'll just have to wrap them up and then put them in another box. Okay, well it appears a couple of these buildings have been glued down. But not to worry. Right, the next thing I'm going to do is disconnect these wires from this buzz bar. These wires are for the street lights. I've already cut off 2 wires already. Like so. And then all we do to remove the lights, if you can hear the dog in the background barking, I do apologise for that. You just basically just pull the wires out. I mean, to be quite honest, when these baseboards are removed, the buzz bars have got to come out anyway, to be honest. Right, so with the high street now taken up, my next job is to remove the back scenes. Now in hindsight, when I did the back scenes, gluing them onto pieces of cardboard wasn't the best idea I've ever had in the world. When the lights are not even on, there are crinkles and creases in them, not to mention, just look at that one in particular just there, that's been ruined. Despite fixing the insulation problem, we have still had a few issues with damp coming in. We have sorted it over there in this area, though over in the other area, just over that way over there, that's still being sorted. But with the next layout, there will be back scenes, but I'm going to be doing them properly. So I ain't going to be gluing them onto cardboard, and I'm not even going to attempt to try and glue them onto the back of the shed, or even try and blue tack them on, as I tried to do with this one. Like I say, I'm going to do it properly and find other methods of doing it so that they look better. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to crack on with the teardown. So I'm going to try not to put too much talk in, stopping the video and then doing a bit of talk on each bit that I've taken off the layout. I might do that with a couple of bits and pieces, but not with everything, because that's just going to slow this all up. And also because it might be boring for you guys as well. Okay, so everything on this area, all here and down along here, that could be removed, has been removed. Now, this is a case when tearing the layout down that not everything can be reused again. All the buildings you saw around on this area here and along here, you won't be seeing those buildings on the new layout. There are some bits I can reuse, the figures mainly, and also things such as the buddleia and a couple of flowers and so on. But if there's anything that can't be reused, it can be replaced. If, for example, bushes or even a few flowers can't be reused, it's not going to matter because they don't cost hundreds and hundreds of pounds. So you can go out and buy some more. I'm going to turn my attention to the station. The platforms are not going to be reused on the new layout, I'm going to be scratch building my own instead. Some of these bits and pieces possibly might reappear on the new layout, but others are just going to be put to one side. Doesn't necessarily mean I have to throw anything away, could come in handy for the future. Though these waiting rooms I'm not planning to reuse either. I doubt I'll use the canopies from these platforms on the new ones, but not going to throw them away. I might decide to keep them. Right, so we're now at the stage where the track can start to be ripped up. Some of it already has been taken up. So as we go along now, we can start ripping it up. We'll be taking down the 009 track first, followed by the 00 gauge track. But there's not much left of this layout now to take off. Right viewers, upon tearing down this section here, look what I found. Remember that figure that went missing? I found it. That was under this section going all the way along here. I promise you I haven't just planted that figure there, it genuinely did go missing, and now I found it. Also, I found these. One of the Akira scale Rory buffer stops and another buffer stop. A Pico one, I think that is. How those items got here, I've got no idea, because all this was sealed off. I definitely couldn't have planted them there myself, so how on earth that those items have got there is still a baffling mystery. But at least those items have been found. So every single bit of detail and scenery has now been removed off the layout. Aside from perhaps maybe a few couple of bits of traces of some static grass and maybe a couple of odd bits of ballast which I couldn't get off. The roads which have just been painted onto these boards I haven't bothered trying to remove, to be honest. I've just left them on there. So all we've got to do now is to do one final thing, and that's to basically remove the baseboards. So I've got to remove all the screws, and because also there are some brackets and screws underneath the layout, underneath the baseboards, I'm going to have to get under the layout and remove those, which is going to be fun. Right viewers, all those backdrop laminated boards have now been removed off the layout. So now we've got to turn our attention to the baseboards. Okay viewers, so that's all the baseboards now removed off the layout. You have to excuse the buzz bar there and the wire on those two boards. They've yet to be removed from those boards, but they've all come off. Have to say that was a lot harder than what I expected it to be. Some of the screws wouldn't come out at all. I had to use a hammer to bash on the end of the screwdriver to free them up. Others we had to use an angle grinder to grind some of the screws off because they wouldn't come out at all. Also because the two end boards, one on each end, and some of the boards going on that side of the shed, basically where just above all the storage units are, where I keep my locos, those boards in particular had brackets with screws on them attached underneath the layout on the frames. So climbing under the layout to get to those wasn't much fun either, but all the boards are now removed, so that's that done. Here are the other boards as well. These have been placed at the back of the shed because I wasn't going to just get them out and just have them lying around on the house just to get them all into view on camera. They've all just been put here, so they're out the way. And you can also see by looking at them that they're not in the best nick, because as you can see that they are bowed. Which I can definitely see that, and I'm hoping that's coming out on camera. That one you can definitely see is definitely bowed. That one's probably in the worst condition of them all, actually, to be honest. But there's still bowing going on with that one. And it's no better with the rest of the boards either. Not helped by the fact that these came from building sites when we first built the layout. So these baseboards were not new. And over the years I think damp has gotten into them and caused them to have those dips and bend. So this is all to be rectified for the new layout. Or the rebuild, however you choose to look at it. It is a rebuild, but it's also a new layout, because when it is done it's going to look a whole lot different to the previous one. And so here are the frames of the layout. And to see them looking rather bare like this, it is rather strange. Never thought I'd be seeing the layout looking like this again, to be honest. Now, this is not going to be a case of now that all the old baseboards are removed, now we can suddenly jump into getting new baseboards on and laying track, etc. For a start, you have to excuse all the bits and bobs lying around the place underneath the layout where they've been installed and whatever. I think, to be honest, this all probably could do with perhaps a tidy up. But there we go, that's something to sort out later. What we do need to do is to modify the frames for the baseboard. I'm not going to rip them all down and build new ones, because these have stood the test of time quite well. They're built fairly well enough. They will need some modifications. For a start, they could do with being strengthened, which there will be. Putting wood in the middle of the frames, in the places where they need to be, to strengthen them up. Might help them to make them perhaps even longer as well, possibly. Also, I'm going to be raising the frames up a bit. Perhaps making the legs longer or sticking something underneath them to raise them up a bit to help make the new layout even more level than what the old one was. If that makes sense. Also, those two legs on the outside there and over here, they could do with being planed to make them so that they don't stick the baseboards up, to make them basically more level. That one particular, it's definitely noticeable. It was definitely noticeable there that on the old layout you might have seen that the boards over that side weren't exactly lying down flat quite. Well, that was because really that leg there, as you can clearly see, is a bit too high, so it needs to be just planed to trim it down to size. The same with that one, that could be doing with planed down a little bit. Also, there's that bit there, could do with being planed down to make it look a bit more smooth and level. These two bits of wood in the middle here, I think I'm going to change so that they're not quite so high as you see them here, to make them a bit more flattened, a bit more level with these parts of the frames, as you can see, because to me they do look a bit too high. And also they could do with being replaced anyway, because if I come down here you can see that that one is bowed. It's almost shaped like a banana. I don't know how noticeable it's going to be picked up on camera, but I can definitely tell and see that it is bowed. In fact, actually, if I walk down here You can probably see here that it is bowed. And also you can see the remnants there of screws that had to be angle grinded down. So I might actually replace this bit of wood altogether, given the fact that it's bowed and the state of condition it's in. Also, we do need to redo the insulation because we have had issues with the glue not quite being strong enough. Hence why there's a panel missing over there, because I walked into the shed one day and found it lying flat on the layout. Because the glue hasn't been strong enough and it's worn off over time, and it's basically prevented the insulation from working properly, so that needs to be sorted out as well. But all of this is going to be covered in future videos. So there is quite a bit of work to do with these frames to get them even better than they are now currently, and to sort out the insulation before we even make a real start on the rebuild of this layout. Right viewers, so that's the end of this video of the teardown for Fox Hill Junction. I'm not going to show myself on camera for this piece, I'm just going to show you this view of the frames of the layout as they're looking now. I know it's quite emotional to see a layout being torn down. It is sad to see the layout go, but it's for the best. So it's the start of a new beginning and a new chapter for model railways. This next layout, I'm not just going to want to make it better in regards to realism and detail, etc., and the type of track I'm going to be using and all that, but also improve the build quality as well. I'm not saying the build quality of this layout was terrible, but there's just some things that need addressing. That's all, basically. I know it's been somewhat different to film the teardown for the old layout. It is quite emotional to see that, but like I say, it's for the best and it's a new fresh start. So I am looking forward to getting on with this new layout when that can be done. So thank you very much for watching these videos of Fox Hill Junction. Will I keep the name for the new layout? I don't know. I may decide to give the new layout a new name, or I may decide to still use the name Fox Hill Junction, or maybe change it up a little bit. I don't know. We'll see. Like I say, there will be videos of the new layout, so keep a lookout for those. Not to mention all the other videos that I'm hoping to do for the channel as well. Fingers crossed. But that's not to talk about right now. So all that's left for me to say is to thank you very much for watching the videos of Fox Hill Junction. I hope you've enjoyed them, and I'm sure that you will enjoy the videos of the new layout when it comes. And I hope you'll continue to enjoy the other content I continue to put out on the channel, because it does mean a lot. So this is one goodbye, a final goodbye from Fox Hill Junction, and it's going to be hello to the new layout. So thank you all very much for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you've not done so already. Do feel free to hit the like button and leave a comment, and I'll see you in the next video, which the next model railway video I'll do will be the first video for the new layout. But until when all that does happen, take care.